Ikaaġvik Sikukun, a new path for ice bridges.
All in Kotzebue.
Transition. Leading up to the trip, we have to ship our equipment at least 2 weeks in advance to get it up here. We have to think ahead on anything that we might need, any tools, any equipment, and not to mention the shipping while we're up here is challenging. So even getting extra equipment from Tucson where we're located is difficult, at least to get it in a timely manner. 2 weeks ahead of time, all 3 airplanes are packed up, extra equipment in its own crate. First of all, we had to go coordinate with all the local companies and the airport manager, make sure everybody's in the loop on what we were going to be doing. After we unpacked all the equipment, we did a lot of checkouts on the equipment, and we had to do functional check flights on all 3 airplanes. That just involves a short flight to make sure everything's functional before we go about putting any sensors on the airplane for actual science missions. After we did the functional check flights, we rolled into short science flights and started collecting data.
We are setting up all of the recording files, doing a quick quality control of the output, and then we'll disconnect and leave it recording.
See if it has found the satellites and locked on.
Kotzebue Radio 16 Charlie Uniform is on the ground.
16 Charlie Uniform, roger, thank you.
We use the National Weather Service website. They run the GFS model, the global forecasting system. Sites like Windy or Weather Underground will take data from models that people are running, incorporate it with observations, so we can get an idea of the wind direction. We take that information, so including wind speed, temperature, precipitation, along with the wind speed, allows us to compute how long it takes to do a track. And then how long it'll take to do each plane, we can fit in the flights to get the best quality data. We want a certain wind direction for certain payloads. We want certain cloud conditions for others. So it's all about balancing these different pieces.
Currently I'm just setting up flight plans to do our first flight on this airplane. Getting familiar with the airspace, make sure we can deconflict with other aircraft easily. The hangar we're operating from, it's right off of runway 1836 right here that runs north-south. And this is the main runway for the airport, 927. So we're not far at all from the main runway. And that's why we have to consider traffic so much.
Most of the time in my previous experience, unmanned aircraft get operated in areas where there's not a lot of other air traffic. So operating in an airport is unique for sure. We have to coordinate with other air traffic in the area. We have to coordinate with the airport itself and make sure that everybody's aware of what we're going to be doing. The other operator, Corey Rosine and myself, are both pilots, so we're fairly aware with operating around an airport. So we coordinate with the pilots over radios and make sure everybody's aware of our position.
Right here is a satellite image that was taken 3 days ago of Kotzebue Sound. Overlaid it, we have the land mask, so you can see the outline of where the land would meet the water if there were no ice in the sound, where basically we make a giant rectangle with the UAV. We map a certain swath on the ground doing that, and we just translate that box each time. So at the end of 3 or 4 hours, we get this nice long swath that's totally mapped, that's maybe 2 kilometers wide, 10 kilometers long. And that's both at Sasolic to detect seals, and then at the ice edge to look at seals and also any sort of physical oceanographic features that are interacting with the ice. We have a couple other payloads that we're going to fly in these long straight lines. So the plan right now is to head up north to the mouth of the Noatak River and take these radial spokes outwards. I did a straightforward calculation that says how long is it going to take to complete it. I'll give this to the latitude guys and say, these are our weather conditions, this is how long I think it's going to take. Do we need to alter this at all?
I think the biggest thing that surprised me is how quickly it can change. I mean, within 15 minutes, it can go from looking beautiful outside to being pretty bad weather conditions for flying any aircraft, especially an unmanned one. So that definitely took me by surprise. It is a little bit. Just before launch, we noticed some fog rolling in. We're not allowed to fly through fog, so we're just holding off to see if it passes, and then we'll try again. If we do see weather, we need to be prepared to come back immediately. We've had to modify the aircraft quite a bit to make sure it can handle the really cold temperatures. So far, we've had really good luck with every change we've made. We've got the battery warmers working perfectly, and it's been fine. So, feeling pretty good about that. Speed up is good. RSSI is good. Ready? All right, launching. Launch now. "20 feet. 40 feet. 60 feet. Transition. All right, good RPM. I'm moving at about a quarter mile at a time, so it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to make it a quarter mile, basically. We've been able to go all the way down to the tip of Cape Blossom, which is down here. It's almost exactly 10 miles, as well as out to Shishalik, which is almost exactly 10 miles.
We've been operating drone flights with the chase plane for over 2 weeks now, and we've really gotten into a groove at this point, to the point where we're getting 2 to 3 and even maybe 4 flights in a day, depending on the nature of the flights and how long they are. Yeah, it was really interesting up there. Just in the hour-and-a-half flight time that we had, the conditions totally changed, the color of the ice totally changed, and the channel is very distinct. It's not broken through yet, it's still ice, but it's much darker than the surrounding ice. But it's much harder to spot the drone when it's flying over open water than it is over ice, because the color of the water camouflages the gray drone much better than the bright white ice. It's pretty easy to spot it. But it's important to us to get flux measurements over that transition area between the ice and the water, so continue to do that and just keep a close eye on it when it's out there over water.
Coming up on altitude, and temps are good. 10 feet, 5 feet. Final approach.
2661, final approach fixed.
At this point in the trip, almost near the end, we've done about 25 flights and approximately 30 flight hours with 4 different sensors in the airplane.
Ikaaġvik Sikukun, new path for ice bridges.